You think you know luxury? Think again. Dubai's richest king just dropped $500 million on a yacht that's basically a floating city. It's got its own hospital, movie theater, and even a submarine garage. But here's the crazy part. This dude wasn't always rolling in cash. We're gonna show you how he went from regular Joe to royal baller in just a few years. You won't believe what he's spending his billions on now. From regular Joe to royal baller. You'd never guess where Dubai's richest king started out. This guy wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Nah, his childhood home was just a regular house in the city. Nothing fancy, nothing special. He didn't have a garage full of luxury cars or a closet packed with designer threads growing up. But here's the thing, he had something way more valuable than all that stuff. This dude had a work ethic that was off the charts and dreams bigger than the Burj Khalifa. He started hustling young, doing all kinds of jobs to make money. We're talking everything from washing cars to selling snacks at school, whatever it took to stack those coins. And get this, he wasn't just working hard, he was working smart too. Every penny he earned, he saved. He wasn't blowing cash on fancy stuff like other kids. Nah, he was investing it. At an age when most kids were buying video games, this guy was buying stocks. His first big break came when he started a small business. It wasn't anything crazy at first, just a little shop selling electronics. But man, did that thing take off. He had a knack for knowing what people wanted before they even knew they wanted it. The shop went from one location to 10 in less than a year. From there, he just kept climbing higher and higher. He expanded into real estate, buying up properties all over Dubai. Then, he got into tech, investing in startups that went on to be worth billions. Everything he touched seemed to turn to gold. But here's the crazy part, he never lost that hunger. Even when he was making millions, he was still working like he was broke. He'd be up at 5 a.m. making deals before most people had their first cup of coffee. And he wasn't afraid to take risks. When other people saw problems, he saw opportunities. Before long, he wasn't just rich, he was stupid rich. We're talking private jet, yacht collection, owning half of Dubai rich. But he didn't stop there. He kept pushing, kept growing his empire. And that's how a regular dude from a regular house became Dubai's richest king. Now he's got more money than some small countries. He's spending millions on stuff you can't even imagine. But that's a whole other story. The point is, this guy went from zero to hero in just a few years. And it all started with a crazy work ethic and some big dreams. Just goes to show, you never know where you might end up if you're willing to put in the work. The $500 million floating city, remember that insane yacht we mentioned? Let's check it out. This ain't just any boat, it's basically a floating city worth $500 million. Yeah, you heard that right. The king's got a yacht so massive and tricked out, it makes other luxury boats look like toys. First off, this thing's got its own hospital. We're not talking about a little first aid station either. It's a full-on medical center with top doctors on call 24/7. If you're feeling sick, you don't gotta wait to get back to land. The docs come to you and they've got all the fancy equipment you'd find in a regular hospital. But that's nothing compared to the entertainment setup. There's a movie theater on board that's bigger than some IMAX screens. You could fit a whole crowd in there, watching the latest blockbusters while cruising the ocean. And the sound system? It's so good you can feel the explosions in your chest. Now here's where it gets really wild. This yacht's got a submarine garage. Yeah, you read that right. It can hold multiple subs, cause why have just one, right? The king can go exploring under the sea whenever he wants, then come back and park his sub like it's no big deal. But wait, there's more. The yacht's got its own desalination plant to make fresh water. That means they never run out, even on long trips. They could stay out at sea for months if they wanted to, and get this. There's even a missile defense system. Cause when you're that rich, you can't be too careful, I guess. The craziest part? This is just one of his many yachts. The king's got a whole fleet of these things, each one more luxurious than the last. But this $500 million floating city is the crown jewel of his collection. Inside, it's all gold everything. The floors, the walls, even the toilets are decked out in gold. There's a grand staircase that looks like something out of a palace, and chandeliers that cost more than most people's houses. The bedrooms? They're bigger than some apartments, with views of the ocean that'll take your breath away. The yacht's got multiple pools, both indoor and outdoor. There's a spa where you can get massages while looking out at the sea. And if you're feeling active, there's a gym with equipment that costs more than a car. For fancy dinners, there's a dining room that can seat 100 people. The kitchen's got chefs from the best restaurants in the world ready to whip up whatever the king wants. And the wine cellar, it's stocked with bottles worth more than some people make in a year. But here's the thing, even with all this crazy luxury, the king ain't satisfied. He's already planning his next yacht, and rumor has it, it's gonna make this one look cheap. Just goes to show, when you're that rich, there's always something bigger and better to spend your money on. Gold-plated dreams on wheels. Think the yacht was the king's most prized possession? Think again. There's something else that gets his engine revving even more. It's a collection so vast and valuable, it's like he's got his own automotive country. And wait till you hear about the one ride that rules them all. The king's car collection is worth more than some countries' GDPs. We're talking billions here, people. This dude's got over 7,000 cars. But let's focus on the cream of the crop, because that's where things get really wild. His Rolls-Royce collection alone is worth $15 million. But here's the thing, it ain't just about the price tag. These cars are custom, and when I say custom, I mean crazy custom. We're talking gold-plated exteriors that shine so bright you need sunglasses just to look at them. And the interiors? They're studded with diamonds. Yeah, you heard that right, diamonds. On the seats, the steering wheel, even the cup holders. But that's nothing compared to the car with a paint job made from crushed diamonds. This thing sparkles like a disco ball on wheels. It's so flashy, it makes other luxury cars look like they came from a used car lot. The king's got a car for every day of the year and then some. He's got supercars that can go faster than a jet, classic cars worth millions, and concept cars that look like they're from the future. But here's the kicker. He's got a team of 50 people just to take care of all these rides. They clean them, maintain them, and make sure they're ready to roll whenever the king feels like taking a spin. Now, you might think having 7,000 cars is overkill, but for this guy, it's just another Tuesday. He's always on the lookout for rare and unique rides to add to his collection. Rumor has it, he once bought a car at auction for $70 million just cause he liked the color. But wait till you hear about his favorite ride. It's a one-of-a-kind hypercar that took 3 years to build. This thing's got a body made entirely of carbon fiber and titanium. The engine, it's got more horsepower than a whole stable of racehorses. And get this, the key to start it is made of a meteorite. Yeah, a real space rock. Inside, it's like a spaceship. The dashboard is all touchscreens, and there's a holographic display that shows the car's stats in mid-air. The seats are made from leather so fancy, cows are jealous they didn't get to wear it. And the sound system? It's so good, it makes concerts sound like they're coming through a tin can. But the craziest part, this car can drive itself. Not just park or stay in its lane, but full-on autonomous driving. The king can sit back, relax, and let the car do all the work. It's like having a personal chauffeur, but way cooler. So next time you're feeling good about your ride, just remember, somewhere out there, Dubai's richest king is cruising in a car that makes yours look like a kid's toy. But hey, at least you don't need a team of 50 people to keep your car running, right? A palace that makes Buckingham look basic. You thought the king's yacht was impressive? Wait till you see his palace. This place makes Buckingham look like a starter home. We're talking over 1,000 rooms spread across more than 2 million square feet. That's bigger than some small towns. Let's start with the basics. The chandeliers in this place cost more than most people's houses. We're not talking about a few fancy lights. These things are massive, dripping with crystals and gold. Each one's worth millions. The king's got so many he probably forgets where half of them are. Now you might think a guy with 7,000 cars would need a big garage, but this is next level. The palace has a garage that can hold 100 cars, and it ain't just some big concrete box. This thing's climate controlled to keep those luxury rides in perfect condition. It's like a 5-star hotel for cars. But here's where it gets really wild. The palace has its own rainforest. Yeah, you heard that right. A whole freaking rainforest inside the palace. It's got real trees, exotic plants, even a little river running through it. The king can take a jungle walk without ever leaving home. And if that's not enough nature for you, there's also a private zoo. We're not talking about a couple of peacocks wandering around. This zoo's got animals from all over the world. Tigers, elephants, rare birds, you name it, he's probably got it. It's like having a whole safari park in your backyard. The swimming pool, it's so big it could fit an entire Olympic team. Actually, it could probably fit 2 or 3 teams. It's more like a small lake than a pool. And of course, it's got gold tiles and underwater speakers, cause why not? But the most insane feature of this palace? You're never gonna guess. It's got its own indoor ski slope in the middle of the desert with real snow. The king can go from sweltering heat to winter wonderland just by walking down the hall. It's like having your own private ski resort, but indoors and in Dubai. The bedrooms in this place are bigger than most apartments. Each one's got its own theme, from underwater to outer space. The bathrooms, all gold everything. Toilets, sinks, even the toilet paper holder. It's like King Midas went on a bathroom renovation spree. And don't even get me started on the dining room. It can seat 500 people easy. The table's so long they need little carts to bring the food out. Speaking of food, the kitchen's got chefs from all over the world. Whatever the king wants, whenever he wants it, they can make it happen. This palace ain't just a home, it's a whole world of luxury. It's got everything from a movie theater that puts IMAX to shame to a bowling alley with lanes made of marble. There's even a room just for the king's perfume collection. 'Cause when you're this rich, why not have a room for everything? Bling fit for a king. You thought the king's jewelry box was impressive? Hold on to your wallet, 'cause we're about to dive into the king's jewelry collection. And trust me, this ain't your grandma's collection of costume jewelry. We're talking about pieces that could buy small countries. Let's start with the crown jewel of his collection, literally. This dude's got a crown with over 3,000 diamonds. It's so heavy it weighs more than 5 pounds. Imagine wearing that on your head all day. The king's neck muscles must be jacked. But that's nothing compared to his watch collection. He's got one watch that's worth $18 million. That's right, a single watch. You could buy a whole island for that price, but this guy wears it on his wrist like it's no big deal. Now you might think shoes are just for walking, but not for this king. He's got a pair of shoes covered in diamonds. These kicks are worth $17 million. That's more than most people make in their entire lifetime. And he's just strutting around in them like they're regular sneakers. But wait, there's more. The king's even got his accessories blinged out. He's rocking a belt buckle made of solid gold with his name spelled out in diamonds. It's like those personalized necklaces you get at the mall, but way more expensive and way more extra. And don't even get me started on his writing utensils. His favorite pen, it's made of meteorite and costs $1.3 million. Yeah, you read that right. A pen made from space rock. This guy's signing documents with something that fell from the sky. Talk about a power move. But here's the kicker. All this stuff we've talked about, it ain't even close to the most expensive piece in his collection. The king's got something so valuable, so over the top, it makes everything else look cheap. We're talking about a piece of jewelry that's worth more than some countries' entire economies. And you want to know the craziest part? This is just the stuff he wears for special occasions. You won't believe what he wears for everyday stuff. We're talking diamond-encrusted sunglasses, gold-plated phone cases, and cufflinks that cost more than a house. The king's jewelry collection is so massive he's got a whole team just to keep track of it all. They've got to polish the diamonds, clean the gold, and make sure everything's secure. It's like a full-time job just managing all this bling. But here's the thing. Even with all this crazy expensive jewelry, the king's always on the lookout for more. He's got buyers scouring the world for rare gems and unique pieces. If there's a diamond bigger than the ones he's got, you can bet he's trying to get his hands on it. So next time you're feeling fancy with your new watch or that shiny necklace, just remember, somewhere out there, Dubai's richest king is casually wearing your entire life savings on his pinky finger, and he's probably thinking it could use a few more diamonds. Private jets that are basically flying palaces. You thought the king's cars were impressive? Wait till you see how he flies. This dude doesn't just hop on a plane, he's got a whole fleet of private jets that make first class look like economy. His main ride is a custom Airbus A380, the biggest passenger plane ever made. But trust me, this ain't no regular A380. The king's turned this thing into a flying palace that's so wild, it'll make your head spin. First off, it's got a concert hall. Yeah, you heard that right. A full-on concert hall in the sky. The king can watch live performances while cruising at 40,000 feet. It's got state-of-the-art acoustics and enough space for a whole orchestra. Imagine jamming out to your favorite band while flying over the ocean. That's just a regular Tuesday for this guy. But that's nothing compared to the mosque. The plane's got a full-size mosque that can rotate to always face Mecca. No matter where the plane's flying, the king can pray in the right direction. It's got intricate carpets, beautiful chandeliers, and enough space for dozens of people to pray together. Now, you might think the king would leave his car collection at home when he flies. Nah, this plane's got a garage. He can bring a few of his favorite rides with him wherever he goes. 'Cause why settle for a rental when you can bring your own gold-plated Rolls-Royce? The king ain't taking any chances with his health either. There's a whole hospital wing on the plane, complete with an operating room. It's got all the latest medical equipment and a team of doctors on standby. If anything goes wrong, they can perform surgery right there in the sky. And don't even get me started on the bathrooms. They're all decked out with gold fixtures and marble everything. It's like peeing in a palace. The sinks are made of crystal, and the toilets, they're probably worth more than your house. But the coolest feature on this flying palace, it's something you'd never expect to see on a plane. The king's got a fully stocked aquarium with rare tropical fish. It's like flying Nemo up there. The tank's specially designed to handle changes in air pressure, so the fish are living it up while cruising through the clouds. The plane's also got a cinema with a screen bigger than some movie theaters. There's a spa where you can get massages while flying over continents. And get this, there's even a stable for the king's favorite horses. Yeah, he brings horses on his plane, but here's the kicker. This A380 is just one of his many jets. The king's got a whole fleet of these flying palaces. Each one's tricked out with its own crazy features. One's got a basketball court, another's got a mini golf course. It's like he's trying to fit an entire country into his planes. So next time you're feeling fancy in your cramped airplane seat, just remember, somewhere up there, Dubai's richest king is probably watching a live concert, praying in his rotating mosque, or chilling with his flying fish, all while cruising in a plane that's worth more than most cities. Now that's what I call traveling in style. Islands in the sun, that he owns. Forget beachfront property. Dubai's richest king collects entire islands like they're trading cards. We're talking volcanic paradises, personal resorts, and even an island you can spot from space. But his latest island project? It's so wild, it makes his flying aquarium look boring. This guy's got a whole collection of private islands around the world. One of them has its own rainforest and 3 volcanoes. Yeah, you heard that right, 3 whole volcanoes. It's like he's got his own mini Hawaii. The king can go from chilling on the beach to hiking through a jungle to watching lava flow, all without leaving his property. But that's nothing compared to his resort island. This place is so exclusive, it's only for his friends and family. No tourists allowed. It's got everything you'd expect from a luxury resort. Fancy hotels, gourmet restaurants, spas, but cranked up to 11. The beaches have sand imported from the Maldives, 'cause regular sand just ain't good enough. And the pools? They're filled with mineral water from the Swiss Alps. Now here's where it gets really crazy. The king's got an island with its own dinosaur theme park. No joke, it's like Jurassic Park, but without the whole dinosaurs eating people thing. He's got life-size animatronic dinos, prehistoric themed rides, and even a museum with real fossils. It's every kid's dream come true, but only if your dad's the richest king in Dubai. One of his islands is so big, you can see it from space. It's shaped like a palm tree, with long fronds stretching out into the ocean. This ain't just some little sandbar, it's a massive engineering project with luxury homes, hotels, and beaches. The king basically created his own country in the shape of a tree. But his favorite island, it's got a feature that's absolutely insane. We're talking about an underwater hotel, not just a room with a fish tank. The whole hotel is under the sea. You can sleep with sharks swimming over your head, eat dinner while watching manta rays glide by, and take a shower surrounded by tropical fish. It's like living in a giant aquarium, but with room service. And get this, the king ain't done collecting islands. He's already planning his next big project. Rumor has it he's gonna build a floating island. Not just a big boat, but a whole island that can move around. It'll have everything a regular island has. Beaches, hotels, even a little forest. But it can sail around the world. Imagine waking up in the Caribbean one day and the Mediterranean the next. The craziest part? These islands ain't just for show. The king uses them to host world leaders, throw insane parties, and even conduct business deals. When you're this rich, why settle for a boring old office when you can seal the deal on your own private volcanic island? So next time you're dreaming about owning a beach house, just remember, somewhere out there, Dubai's richest king is probably deciding which of his private islands he wants to visit today. Maybe the one with volcanoes, or the one shaped like a palm tree, or hey, maybe he'll just chill in his underwater hotel. That's just how he rolls. A wardrobe that puts Fashion Week to shame. You might think owning multiple islands is the height of luxury, but wait till you hear about this king's clothes. Ever wondered what a $100 million watch collection looks like? Or why someone would need 10,000 custom-made suits? The answer might surprise you. First off, let's talk about the closet itself. This ain't your average walk-in. The king's wardrobe is bigger than most people's houses. We're talking multiple rooms, each one dedicated to a different type of clothing. There's a room just for suits, another for shoes, and even one for his massive collection of watches. Speaking of suits, this guy's got over 10,000 of them, and we ain't talking off-the-rack stuff here. Each one is custom made by the world's top designers. They fly in just to measure him and make sure every suit fits like a glove. The fabrics? Only the finest. We're talking silk so smooth it makes butter jealous. But the suits are nothing compared to his watch collection. This thing is worth more than $100 million. He's got watches with diamonds so big they could sink a ship. Some of these timepieces are so rare, there are only a handful in the world, and the king's got them all. Now you might think the king wears the same shoes over and over. Nah, that's for regular folks. This dude never wears the same pair of shoes twice. Once he's worn them, they're out, donated to charity or given to his staff. He's got so many shoes he could wear a different pair every day for years and never repeat. Managing all these clothes ain't easy. That's why the king's got a team of 20 people just to take care of his wardrobe. They clean, press, and organize everything. They keep track of what he's worn and make sure he's always got the perfect outfit ready. It's like having your own personal department store staff. The king's favorite designer? They don't make clothes for anyone else. This designer's whole job is creating one-of-a-kind pieces just for the king. Anything the king can dream up, this designer makes it happen. Want a jacket made of gold thread? Done. Shoes with soles made of ancient artifacts? No problem. But here's the kicker. The most expensive thing in the king's closet? It ain't what you'd expect. It's not a diamond-encrusted watch or a suit made of the world's rarest fabric. Nah, it's something so crazy, so over the top it makes everything else look cheap. We're talking about a piece of clothing that's worth more than some countries' entire fashion industries. And you want to know the craziest part? All this fancy stuff is just for when he's out in public. You won't believe what he wears when he's just chilling at home. Let's just say it involves the world's most expensive sweatpants and slippers made from a material so rare it's almost extinct. The king's idea of casual wear costs more than most people's cars. Meals fit for royalty, and then some. Alright, so you think the king's wardrobe is fancy? Wait till you hear about his meals. This dude's dining habits are so next level, they make Gordon Ramsay look like he's flipping burgers at a fast food joint. First off, the king's got a team of personal chefs that includes 3 Michelin-starred masters. Yeah, you heard that right. These guys have more stars than a planetarium. They're cooking up dishes so fancy, most people can't even pronounce them. But here's the kicker. The king ain't eating off no regular plates. Nah, this guy's chowing down on solid gold every single day. His dinnerware's worth more than some people's houses. And get this, he's got a different set for every day of the week. It's like he's playing dress-up with his plates. Now let's talk about his wine cellar. This ain't your uncle's collection of dusty bottles. The king's got wines worth millions. Some of these bottles are older than your grandma. He's got champagne from the 1800s that costs more than a Ferrari. But for him, it's just Tuesday night's drink. But the craziest part, his favorite coffee. You'd think a guy this rich would have some fancy Italian espresso or something, right? Nope. The king's favorite coffee is made from beans that elephants eat and poop out. Yeah, you read that right. Elephant poop coffee. And it costs like $1,000 a pound. Talk about expensive crap. Speaking of expensive, the king once dropped $1 million on a single meal, just 'cause he could. It had gold-covered steaks, caviar from extinct sturgeons, and truffles so rare they needed armed guards. The dessert? Ice cream made with glacial water from the North Pole, 'cause regular water just ain't good enough. The king's even got his own garden where he grows the world's most expensive spices. We're talking saffron that costs more than gold, vanilla from orchids that bloom once a year, and peppers so rare there's a waiting list just to smell them. But here's the surprise, the king's favorite food, it ain't all that fancy. Turns out this dude who eats off gold plates and drinks million-dollar wine loves a good old-fashioned burger. Yeah, a regular beef patty with cheese. But don't get it twisted, this ain't no fast food joint burger. The beef comes from cows massaged daily and fed only the finest grains. The cheese? From milk blessed by monks or something. And the bun? Baked by a guy who only makes 1 loaf a day. So next time you're feeling fancy 'cause you splurged on extra guac at Chipotle, just remember, somewhere out there, Dubai's richest king is sipping elephant poop coffee from a solid gold cup, while his team of Michelin-starred chefs prepares him the world's most expensive burger. That's just how he rolls. Hobbies that cost more than small countries. From gold-plated burgers to billion-dollar pastimes, this king's idea of fun makes most lottery winners look like penny pinchers. What if I told you he's got a hobby that's literally out of this world? And no, I don't mean metaphorically. The king's got a collection of racehorses that's worth over $100 million. We're talking thoroughbreds that cost more than mansions. He's got horses that have won major races all over the world, but for him, it's just a fun little side project. But that's nothing compared to his falcon collection. Each bird costs more than a Lamborghini. Yeah, you heard that right. He's got falcons worth millions. They're trained by the best falconers in the world and live in better conditions than most people. The king even hosts falcon races where the prize money is more than some people make in a lifetime. Now you might think living in the desert means no skiing. Not for this guy. He built a whole ski resort in the middle of the desert just cause he likes hitting the slopes. It's got real snow, ski lifts, and even a lodge that looks like it belongs in the Alps. All this in a place where the temperature regularly hits 120 degrees. The king's also big into golf, but he ain't playing on no regular course. Nah, he's got a private golf course designed by Tiger Woods himself. It's got grass imported from Scotland and sand from the Bahamas. Each hole is like playing in a different part of the world. His art collection, it's worth billions and includes some lost masterpieces. We're talking paintings that art historians thought were gone forever. The king's got them hanging in his living room like they're family photos. But his most expensive hobby? It's literally out of this world. The king's got his own space program. Yeah, you heard that right. He's building rockets and planning missions to the moon. Not for science or exploration, but just because he thinks it'd be cool to have a vacation home in space. You won't believe what he does for fun on weekends. Sometimes he'll rent out an entire theme park just for himself and his friends. Other times, he'll have famous musicians flown in for private concerts. Once, he even had a whole carnival set up in his backyard, complete with rides and games, just cause he felt like it. But here's the craziest part. All these insane hobbies, they're just the tip of the iceberg. The king's always looking for new ways to have fun and spend his billions. Who knows what he'll come up with next? Maybe he'll build an underwater city or start collecting extinct animals. With this guy, anything's possible. Gifts that make Santa look cheap. You thought Santa was generous? Wait till you hear about this king's gift-giving game. When he hands out presents, it's like Black Friday, Christmas, and your birthday all rolled into one, but way more expensive. Let's start with his daughter's birthday present. Most kids get an iPad, right? This king gave his little princess an iPad made of solid gold. Yeah, you heard that right. A tablet worth more than most people's houses just cause it was Tuesday or something, but that's nothing compared to what he got his wife. Forget flowers and chocolates. This dude bought her a $500 million yacht just cause he felt like it. It's like buying your spouse a car, except the car is the size of a small city and can sail around the world. The king doesn't just spoil his family though, he takes care of his staff too. For Eid, he didn't just give them a bonus. Nah, he handed out Rolex watches like they were candy. Imagine going to work and leaving with a timepiece worth more than your yearly salary. But the craziest gift? He bought his best friend an entire island. Not a timeshare, not a beachfront property, a whole island. It's like giving someone a country for their birthday. The friend probably expected a nice bottle of wine or something, and ended up with their own personal paradise. When his son passed his driving test, most parents would give their kid an old beater, or maybe chip in for a used car. Not this king. He gave his son a custom-made Bugatti. A car so fast and expensive, it makes other supercars look like toys. But here's the kicker, the most insane gift he ever gave. It's so wild, so over the top, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. Let's just say it involved a rocket, a piece of the moon, and a team of scientists working round the clock, and that was just for his cat's birthday. You think that's crazy? Wait till you hear what he's planning for his next big gift. Rumor has it he's working on something that'll make all his previous presents look cheap. We're talking about a gift so massive, so expensive, it might actually change the world. But I can't say more or his security team might come after me. So next time you're feeling proud of that gift card you bought for your mum's birthday, just remember, somewhere out there, Dubai's richest king is probably figuring out how to gift wrap a small country or maybe a piece of outer space. That's just how he rolls in the gift-giving game. Security tighter than Fort Knox. Forget Fort Knox. This king's security setup is like something straight out of James Bond. We're talking over 1,000 bodyguards who could probably take down an army with their bare hands. These guys ain't just big dudes in suits. They're trained in every martial art you can think of, and some you've never heard of. But the bodyguards are just the start. The king's cars, they're all bulletproof, but not just regular bulletproof. These rides can take a rocket hit and keep on cruising. It's like he's driving around in tanks disguised as luxury cars. Now you might think the palace is just a fancy building, but it's more like a high-tech fortress. Get this, it's got a force field. Yeah, a real one, like in sci-fi movies. Ain't no one getting close to this place without permission. The king don't take any chances with his food either. He's got a whole team of food tasters checking every bite for poison. These folks gotta try everything before it gets anywhere near the king's plate. Talk about a risky job. But that's nothing compared to the secret bunker. This thing can survive a nuclear attack. It's got enough food and water to last for years, its own power supply, and probably some other crazy stuff we don't even know about. The security system is next level too. It uses AI and facial recognition to keep track of everyone in the palace. If you ain't supposed to be there, the system knows it before you even step foot inside. But the craziest security measure, it's straight out a Bond movie. Rumor has it the king's got a laser defense system that can take out incoming missiles. Yeah, you heard that right. Lasers. Shooting down missiles. It's like Star Wars, but in real life. And get this, the king's security team is always coming up with new ways to keep him safe. They've got gadgets that'd make Q jealous. There's talk of invisible drones patrolling the skies and underwater sensors guarding the coastline. The king's security budget? It's more than some countries spend on their entire military, but when you're this rich and powerful, you can't be too careful. Every day there's a new threat, a new challenge. But this security team, they're always one step ahead. So next time you think your home security system is fancy because it sends alerts to your phone, just remember, somewhere out there, Dubai's richest king is chilling in his force field protected palace, surrounded by an army of super skilled bodyguards, while laser beams shoot down any threats from the sky. That's what real security looks like when money's no object. Charity work, giving back in a big way. So you thought this king was all about gold-plated yachts and diamond-studded cars? Think again, this dude's got a heart of gold to match his golden palace. He's not just spending billions on himself, he's dropping serious cash to help people all over the world. Let's start with the basics. The king's built more schools and hospitals than you can count. We're talking state-of-the-art facilities that are changing lives. Kids who never had a chance at education, they're hitting the books in brand new classrooms. People who couldn't get medical care, they're getting treated in hospitals that look like five-star hotels. But that's nothing compared to his clean water project. The king started a foundation that's bringing fresh H2O to millions of people. You know how we take turning on the tap for granted? Well, thanks to this guy, folks who never had clean water before are now drinking and washing without worrying about getting sick. The king ain't stopping at basic needs either. He's pumping millions into medical research. We're talking cutting-edge stuff that could cure diseases we thought were hopeless. Who knows? The next big medical breakthrough might come courtesy of Dubai's richest king. Now, you might think a guy with a solid gold toilet wouldn't care about regular folks trying to make it, but you'd be wrong. The king's got a program that helps young entrepreneurs get their businesses off the ground. It's like Shark Tank, but instead of Mark Cuban, you've got a dude who owns islands giving you startup cash. But here's where it gets really wild. The king's working on a project to make Dubai 100% sustainable. We're talking solar power, electric cars, the whole 9 yards. It's like he's trying to turn his kingdom into a real-life Wakanda. But all that stuff, it's just the warm-up act. The king's biggest charitable project is so massive, it's changing lives around the world. I can't give you all the details because it's still under wraps, but let's just say it involves solving world hunger and maybe colonizing Mars. Yeah, you heard that right. And you won't believe what he's planning next. Rumor has it he's working on something so big, so revolutionary, it could change the course of human history. We're talking sci-fi level stuff here, but knowing this king, it'll probably be a reality before we know it.